will be starting on the pole with Ethan Sparks in second, Ronnie Harris in third, Ollie Horner in fourth, Samuel Munson is the top five. So yeah, plenty of action expected here for the Mini GP50 race 1 of 2020. Round 1, of course, today, and round 2 we'll be covering tomorrow. So plenty of action here on FAB-Racing for you to sink your teeth into. And if you've missed it, we're back and we'll be covering it every other week for the next few months. So yeah, you've got plenty of motorsport action and motorcycle action to really get a grip into, because yeah, that gap between the seasons, it felt a long time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the winter break's already long enough, so then to then extend that even more for these guys is excruciating pain for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Mason Foster will be lining up in P1. And he'll be looking at getting down towards turn 1 in the lead and holding on to it. He's going to have Ethan Sparks alongside him trying to get the move done. We're under green and underway, and it's a good getaway there from Mason Foster. Holds on to the lead, I believe, and
that's Ronnie Harris up into second spot there from third on the grid, so a good start from him.
You can see entering turn 5, tricky corner, especially when you're all bunched up, want to stay on the bike, don't want to make any early mistakes. And you can see it looks as though everyone's navigated turn 5 and turn 6 now into the long hairpin at the back of the circuit. Open up the bike over the crest now into the double right-hander, and you can see up at the front it looks as though we've got a race leader starting to come under pressure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ronnie Harris has done a great job to get up into second spot, and is definitely putting pressure now on your race leader, Mason Foster. Also, Ethan Sparks doing a good job there in third spot as they head into the first set of corners for the second time of asking. Ethan Sparks it is then who's leading this one, just ahead of Ronnie Harris.
Yep, Ollie Horner now up into third position, Harrison McKay in fourth. So Cameron Sewell making a good start as well. He's moved up a couple of positions. So yeah, Cameron up into fifth place on track. And up the front we've got a slight breakaway for the top two. So those two will be going at each other, and round the outside tries to go Ronnie Harris. He's trying to find every opportunity to get past, now onto the back straight, getting to the toe of race leader Ethan Sparks into the final two corners, two right-handers, and then you want to open it up for the main pit straight in towards the quick right, left, right flick. And you can see slightly offline there for Ethan Sparks, and gets onto the curb, and that's going to open up an opportunity for Ronnie Harris.
Yeah, brilliant line through the first section there from second place there. Just used the inside curb, so yeah, brilliant stuff from him.
And there, you can see side-by-side action there with Ronnie Harris trying to find a place past Ethan Sparks, and you can see doing a great job at the moment, really hassling Ethan. And this is not going to help Ethan when it comes to trying to make a breakaway, because he's going to have to be watching out, because Ronnie Harris looking really racy early on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had a great start, and he's definitely looking menacing. I think at the moment he's just following for the minute to just see where he can get through, where Ethan's strong and where Ethan's weak, and he'll just be making a plan for later on in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And these two, in fact, starting to be joined by Ollie Horner and Mason Foster, who of course dropped off the pole. So yeah, we missed Mason falling down the order somewhat. He's now in fourth place, so he's going to be looking at trying to get back past you. You can see Ronnie Harris getting a good exit out of the long hairpin, not able to get it up the inside, but still staying, as you say, very close behind Ethan Sparks. But yeah, Ethan perhaps a little bit of a cork in the bottom, because it's really bringing Ollie and Mason into play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ethan's doing a good job at the front of this race. He's controlling it very well. He's keeping his laps nice and consistent, which is very good. But it's looking like we're having a change. So that's third spot now for Ethan Sparks. Sorry, for Mason Foster, who's taken third spot now. So can he do anything about the two guys in front of him? Ronnie Harris now also looking very menacing, looking like he's putting a little bit more pressure on Ethan Sparks.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronnie Harris and that beautiful red and white liveried bike there, and yeah, really starting to pressure on Ethan. And Mason Foster, of course, after losing first position in the opening lap, is now going to be back underway and back on the charge as they come up to the final two corners. And it is Ethan Sparks that's now starting. He's got a little bit of a gap, but you can see Ronnie Harris is still pushing to close in on him. So Mason Foster now, as I said, in third position. Ronnie Harris all over the back of Ethan Sparks as they go into the back side of the circuit, into the long hairpin, and the number 66 really trying to find a position to pass.
Absolutely. Mason Foster again still looking very menacing there. I think he's just looking for a way to get through now. I think we're going to see a change for second spot very soon, because Mason's looking very racy there in third spot. With these guys coming down the back straight again. Long race of attrition for these guys. 5 laps in, we've still got 6 laps to go, so a lot to come from these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 4 breakaway. You've got Ethan Sparks, Ronnie Harris, Mason Foster and Ollie Horner, your top 4. They're all chasing down for that elusive first win of the season here in GP50. And behind you've got Harrison McKay in 5th. He's got Clayton Edmonds and Cameron Sewell behind. Warwick Brady's made a good start up in 8th position, so Warwick making up 4 positions from the start. It looks as though, almost you can see, Ronnie seems to have a really good run on that long hairpin, but just can't quite get the power to send up the inside. Yeah,
it looks like he's definitely having a look. I think he's just eyeing it up at the moment, and we may very well see that move made later in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. As they come around the final 2 corners to we've got 4 laps left to go at the end of this one, and it is still Ethan Sparks leading this one after taking the lead early on. And if it isn't hot enough on track at the moment, I'm sure under the helmet of Ethan Sparks it'll be even hotter, because he's got 3 bikes behind him that are more than capable of sending it and thinking, you know what, I can take that first race win of the season. And yeah, you can see Ethan Sparks just about holding off behind. We've got what is that, Mason Foster almost again a bit of a wiggle on, you can see, as they start to pass lap traffic, so that's going to hold up a couple of these guys. You can see it's split up the gap a little bit, but not for Ronnie Harris, who's still chasing down Ethan Sparks.
Yeah, lap traffic's going to play a big part in this race, as we've already seen, but these guys are definitely going to have to learn to be able to get through it. We can see now a change for the lead. I think Ronnie Harris is attacking Ethan Sparks as we just cut back. Ronnie Harris has now taken the lead ahead of Ethan Sparks as we go through the back complex there. These 2 guys now a nice healthy lead over Mason Foster and Ollie Horner. It'll be interesting to see if Mason can close that in, as we did see Mason had some really good early pace. So we'll be very interested to see what he can do there. Absolutely, and it is Ethan Sparks that drops down to second. Ronnie Harris finally getting past, using absolutely perfect launch on the exit of turn 6, round the outside into the long hairpin. So yeah, great move from the number 66, and he's now up into P1. And now the hunter becomes the hunted. Ethan Sparks is now going to be back on his tail, and Ethan will be trying to close in back on that race lead that he held for such a long time. And with the laps starting to really come down now, only two laps, or a lap and a half left to go now, so time is going to be running out for Ethan. Yeah, absolutely. It just looks like Ronnie's just able to pull away now. I think Ethan's just struggling to stay on Ronnie's pace now, but it'll be interesting to see if he can claw him back in. Ronnie Harris doing a very good job at the front of this race to just control it. Waited a very long time and studied Ethan for a long time, but when the time was right, he just managed to get past. Although it does look like Ethan is clawing it back now. He's right on the back wheel of Ronnie Harris now, so we may very well see another change for the lead in this race. Absolutely. The top 3 split by less than a second in the last lap of this one, and it is Ronnie Harris that's desperately trying to hold on to it. He took so long to get into the lead of this race, but Ethan Sparks is coming back at him, and Ethan is he's only really got a corner, maybe 1 or 2 corners he can feasibly get a move done. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's definitely going to have a look down the back straight. That's his only opportunity left now as they head down onto the back straight. Is he close enough? I'm not sure he is, no, but he's definitely having a look there as he goes up the inside into the final corner and takes the lead. Will he have it stick? Ronnie Harris is looking for the tight line as they come across the line, and it is Ethan Sparks that takes the win ahead of Ronnie Harris and Mason Foster. Mason Foster also doing a brilliant job to catch these guys back up. 65 thousandths of a second split the top 2 there. 600ths of a second. And what a way to start the season with a side-by-side battle for the race win. Absolutely brilliant. The closest race we've seen so far. Last lap battle, last corner, last lap is always brilliant to see, and Ethan looks very happy with that. very happy indeed. Ronnie should be really happy with himself as well. A brilliant result in second place for the number 66. Did really well. I thought it was a really clever ride to sit behind and make a move when he did. But Ethan Sparks had a brilliant answer at that last corner, and unfortunately Ronnie Harris couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ethan Sparks leading the majority of the race. Relinquished it to Ronnie Harris with a couple laps left to go, but with a do or die move into the second to final corner, Ethan Sparks got it done, held on to it, side by side across the line, and it is the number 62, Ethan Sparks, that is your race winner for race 1 of the Mini GP50s, and that is the best way for this season to start for us, isn't it? If it shows we've already got the guys going tooth and hammer and nail at it in race 1, that's only going to set us up nicely for the next spot.
Absolutely, and you saw that all those front four were all capable of being at the front there. So I think definitely as the weekend goes on and as the season goes on, we'll see different names winning these races, and a lot of close battles between these guys, just like we just saw there.
But it is Mason Foster on the pole. He's going to have Ethan Sparks alongside him on the front row of the grid. Ronnie Harris in third, Ollie Horner in fourth, Sammy Munson in fifth, Harrison McKay in sixth, Jacob Stevenson in 7th, with Cameron Sewell in 8th, Clayton Edmonds in 9th, Blake Wilson in 10th, Charlie Huntingford in 11th, Warwick Brady in 12th, Casey Sperry in 13th, Philip Sorowak is in 14th, Harry Payne 15th, Ollie Sims 16th, Ashton Dean 17th, Dominic Gardner 18th, and of course Isaiah Devine in 19th position as the riders all now filter into their grid slots. You can see as the breeze now starting to pick up here as the day goes on, and it won't be too much of an effect to these guys, but what's it like when you've possibly started off the day with no wind at all, and then obviously as the day goes on the wind may change direction? Does this change these drivers their style of riding?
Yeah, absolutely. On these little bikes, these bikes are very light, so the wind really does make a big difference, but it is an extra thing for these guys to contend, and they will be feeling it on the grid now. But now all eyes to the flag as they go. The revs are rising and they are away. Brilliant start there from Mason Foster as he retains the lead there. Ronnie Harris in second place, and some very close racing up the inside into that first complex. Very close indeed at this point. That's the number 61 of Harrison McKay there, just scrapping it out for these positions. Yeah,
great start from Mason Foster, and Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris equally trying to go with him. So these guys all battled incredibly hard in race 1. Expect to see exactly the same thing here, and you can see very close up the front. In fact, we've got almost a breakaway 4 in this opening lap, and down into the penultimate corner is that move being made. You can see who was that, one of the, I believe that was Ollie Horner perhaps, that was coming across the line. It's the trying to get the number of the back. But it is Ethan Sparks, Ronnie Harris here as well. It was Mason Foster, that got the move down into penultimate corner. So Mason Foster now up into 4th position past Ollie Horner. So Ethan Sparks now into the lead. Ronnie Harris once again a good start after starting in 3rd, jumps up to second. Yeah, brilliant stuff from Ronnie Harris. We saw it earlier on. He got a really good start earlier on, but I think also it seems as if Mason's struggling with his starts a little bit, because we've seen in both races now that he's sort of dropped back off of the line, and you see he's gone from pole to 3rd. But yeah, brilliant stuff from Ethan Sparks with the orange leathers. You see just tipping into the final corner there. He leads this race. They've completed 2 laps now, and he's got definitely a difficult task in fending off the likes of Ronnie Harris and Mason Foster. Yeah, I've got a bit of deja vu here with Ethan Sparks, Ronnie Harris and Mason Foster battling over the top 3 positions. You can see they've bridged a little bit of a gap between themselves and Ollie Horner in 4th place. Now the top 3 split by half a second. The gap between Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris currently sitting at 0.2 of a second. So that's a blink and you'll miss it gap. But for Ethan Sparks, it's pretty much the best he can do, because Ronnie Harris, once again, as we saw in race 1, all over the back of him, and is this the same thing we saw? In fact, Mason Foster once again getting a good run on Ronnie Harris down into penultimate corner. Can he get it up the inside? Not quite. It looks as though Ronnie Harris is just going to hold on to the position, and the rider in the white and red livery is once again involved in another mega battle for the lead of this race. All these guys absolutely matching each other for pace
all of them with a 45 flat on that last lap. So all these guys pushing right to the limit and all absolutely within each other. You see every time they go into that right-hander there at the bottom end of the circuit, Mason Foster just has a little look. Where Ronnie Harris now has taken the lead. So it'll be interesting to see what can Ronnie Harris do now he has the lead. Can he break away from Ethan Sparks as they head onto the back straight? Down into the final corner, you can just see Sparks just having a little bit of a look, and he retakes the lead. That's Ethan Sparks back into the lead as they come across the start-finish line. Ronnie Harris taking a very tight line there, just tried to get underneath him on acceleration, but wasn't quite able to do it. Mason Foster just watching this one as they come side by side through the first chicane into the second one. Ethan Sparks going very defensive there, but Ronnie Harris trying to get alongside him. He pushes him out wide, and Mason Foster takes second place. So Mason Foster up into second place, past Ronnie Harris. Just took advantage of the two lads in front of him scrapping.
Yeah, really good move there from Mason Foster. Just used a slight mistake from Ronnie Harris to get it up the inside into the long hairpin. In fact, he's got a really good toe now on Ethan Sparks into the final corner. And we've seen Ethan, he's probably the last of the late breakers into the final corner. He's made a move on Ronnie Harris now twice in 2 races into that last corner, so he's now back up into the lead of the race. He's now got Mason Foster for company. Ronnie Harris is closed back in after that slight mistake, and these guys, as you said, their best laps are gapped by less than 300ths of a second. So that's how close these guys are on circuit. Mason Foster getting very close to Ethan Sparks' rear wheel there on the exit of turn 9, and they're managing to keep it clean, but don't count out Ronnie Harris. He may drop down to 3rd place, but we've seen he's very close.
So further down the field, Ollie Horner can't seem to stay on the back of these guys, but there's some close battles slightly further down the field for 6th, 7th and 8th. Harrison McKay, Clayton Edmonds and Cameron Sewell all doing very well there. As the front riders coming up to a back marker now, and Mason Foster gets through them beautifully. So that's Mason Foster now with the lead. Ethan Sparks very much struggling to get past the back marker, and Ronnie Harris boxed in behind Ethan Sparks. Sparks now past the back marker, and so is Harrison. Now this has allowed Ollie Horner to come right back onto the back of these guys. So it looks like now we have a runaway lead in Mason Foster, and Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris have just fallen into the clutches of Ollie Horner, although it looks like Ollie seemed to have struggled with the back marker as well. So dramatic scenes at the moment, Gareth.
Absolutely. They really caught that lap traffic at the wrong point, and the rider being lapped was on the inside line at turn 2. It meant that everyone had to scatter to the outside line, which of course is not really where you want to be in the entry to turn 2. So yeah, it has allowed Mason Foster, who's now up into 1st, to get a breakaway in 1.8 seconds. He's now got over Ethan Sparks. Ronnie Harris closing in. In fact, he's got a good run on Ethan Sparks. Can he get alongside? And no, thinks better of it. He's going to try and line him up, I'm sure, down the back straight in towards penultimate corner at turn 16. And you can see that he's once again in toes. A little bit more lap traffic. Is this going to hinder Ronnie Harris into the penultimate corner? He does. It blocks him off. So that's going to cause Ronnie to drop back a little bit, and that takes the pressure a little bit off Ethan Sparks. Behind, we've got the 73 of Ollie Sims in 13th position. Incredibly close battle between himself and Philip Soroyak in 14th, and Casey Sperry in 15th as well. So battles going on throughout the circuit, and it's not just the guys battling for the lead of this race. It's anyone wants to move up, and of course you want to take every opportunity given.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you see a lot of these guys are coming up to back markers, so a lot of opportunities given for these guys, and we're just having a look at this battle now for 13th, with Sperry just getting the better of Ollie Sims at the moment, and I'm sure Ollie Sims is going to be wanting to be returning the favour further on in this race. Just looking now at the number 20, this is Casey Sperry on the Fabio Quartararo inspired number on the front there. And you can see there in P6 it's Harrison McKay battling with Clayton Edmonds and Cameron Sewell. So
The battle for the top 6 is still going on as well. We've got 2 laps left to go. It's Mason Foster leading from Ronnie Harris and Ethan Sparks, but you can see Harrison McKay is doing all he can to keep Clayton Edmonds, the 146 rider. We're now on to the last lap of this one, the second race of the Mini GP50s, and well, it looks as though Mason Foster, the number 88, has got a pretty sizable lead. It should be a comfortable victory for him, and he's coming into the final stages of this one. He's going to come across the line, and it's going to be a really just use the lap traffic to his absolute extreme potential. And Mason Foster has had a magnificent race, and he will be hopefully picking up the race win ahead of Ronnie Harris, who's managed to get ahead of Ethan Sparks into second.
Yeah, lap traffic absolutely helped Mason Foster in this one, but ever since he's been out front, he's just been edging out that lead. It's also his ability to get through the traffic, which has been absolutely brilliant from Mason Foster, as he was just going through the last corner there. He'll be crossing the line now. Mason Foster takes the win, and it looks like it's going to be Ronnie Harris is going to take that second spot ahead of Ethan Sparks. So very close racing for these guys, but in the end it was the ability to navigate their way through back markers that decided the results. Mason Foster then, who takes the win from pole position after dropping back through the order, he managed to fight his way back up and take a brilliant win. He'll be happy with 25 points. Ronnie Harris, a good second place, I'm sure he'll be happy with that, and then Sparks in third. Taking a good weekend for Ethan Sparks so far. Yeah, absolutely so, and the same goes for Ronnie Harris. He'll be happy. A second podium of the weekend for him, but it is Mason Foster that takes the race victory with a 2.7 second margin. Ronnie Harris and Ethan Sparks split by 0.2 of a second there, so very, very close between the second and third place riders. And you can see there the top 10 on screen. It is Mason Foster is your race winner for race 2 of the Mini GP50s. Ronnie Harris in second with Ethan Sparks in third. Ollie Horner comes home in fourth with Samuel Munson in fifth. Clayton Edmonds comes home in sixth position with Harrison McKay in seventh. Cameron Sewell 8th. Jacob Stevenson 9th. And Blake Wilson, the 108 rider, comes home and rounds out the top 10 for the second race for Mini GP50s. The front row of the grid, we're going to have Ethan Sparks and the 66 of Ronnie Harris, you can see, was pulled up alongside. So Ronnie Harris, he's had a really good day. That beautiful red and white liveried bike has been on show a lot, but unfortunately not able to get it up on the top step. But it is the 88 of Mason Foster that will be starting on the pole. Ethan Sparks in second, Ronnie Harris in third. Ollie Horner will start in fourth. Samuel Munson in fifth. Harrison McKay in sixth. Jacob Stevenson in 7th, Cameron Sewell in 8th, Clayton Edmonds in 9th, Blake Wilson in 10th. Then we've got Charlie Huntingford and Warwick Brady in 11th, 12th, Casey Sperry and Philip Suriak in 14th, and then Harry Payne and Ollie Sims. But we're ready to go underway, and it's a slow start there from the pole man Mason Foster. A really poor start, and he's going to fall right through the field behind. Ethan Sparks takes to the grass as well, so not a good start from the two front men, and that's allowed Ronnie Harris up into the lead of the race already. Yeah, really good start for Ronnie Harris, right from third place into the lead now. Mason Foster, we've seen it in the last two races, just struggles to get himself off the grid. That's number 90 there, who's also struggled to get himself off the grid of Asia Devine there, who's just struggled. Unfortunately, doesn't look like he's going to be competing in this race. But back at the front is the number 66 of Ronnie Harris, who has the lead as they go into the final corner for the first time. Leading onto the home straight then, Ronnie Harris it is that leads, and Ethan Sparks there you can see looking keen to get up into second spot. There's some lap traffic, as I believe that was Divine that has managed to get going after not being able to get off the line, but it looks as though all the riders managed to navigate it and managed to get past. And there's Ethan Sparks, I believe, up at the inside and gets the move done. Mason Foster equally going with him, so picking up the ground and getting back on the power. And Mason Foster now closing on Ethan Sparks. Ollie Horner there looked a little bit unsettled after those moves were made on him, ran a little bit wide and lost quite a bit of time there. You can see these guys have gapped him now, so it's going to be a bit of an ask now for Ollie Horner to get back onto the back of these guys. Ronnie Harris now with a nice 1.2 second lead ahead of Ethan Sparks. we'll have to wait and see what Ethan Sparks can do about that, with Mason Foster right on his wheel. Mason Foster now would do well for himself to just sit behind Ethan Sparks and see if these two can catch your leader, Ronnie Harris.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is something we've talked about throughout the day, is that it's that maturity of knowing just to stay with a rider. We know that Ethan Sparks is very quick. Of course, he's picked up victories all out the day. So, it would do Mason well just to kind of stay with him and just allow themselves to drag themselves back up towards Ronnie Harris, who is already starting to build a 1.2 second lead. And he's led a couple of laps so far, but he's always been pegged back. So, Ronnie's
1.5 seconds is the lead now. So I don't think these guys, it'll be a bit of a tall order to go and catch Ronnie Harris. He's setting a blistering pace at the front, and although these guys very quick, both of them perhaps it's just a little bit too difficult to bridge that gap.
Yeah, so we'll see if they do start working together. They've managed to break away from Ollie Horner in 4th place, so it's a 2-bike battle for 2nd and 3rd on circuit at the moment. Ronnie Harris up in the lead. His last lap was a 45.068, and good lap from him. And behind Mason Foster, just having a look at Ethan Sparks there into the final 2 corners, but not able to get the move done. And it's all about, as you can see, Ethan just holding on to the line as Foster tries to stick with him, and it's now 1.6 seconds for Ronnie Harris.
Yeah, brilliant pace being shown at the front from Harris. Nice and consistent, 44.8 there. Nice lap from him. Not too far from the pole lap. So brilliant stuff.
Behind, we've got a battle for 5th place with Sam Munson as he's trying to close in on Harrison McKay, and those riders battling over a top 5 place, and they're gapped only by a 10th of a second. So battles throughout the entire race so far, and it looks as though that might be a move being done there for that 5th position, as it's a 1.6 second lead for Ronnie Harris across the line. Ethan Sparks is now starting to get on pace, and in fact Mason Foster still trying to go with him. So these guys starting to bridge a real gap between themselves, and Ollie Horner in 4th is around 5.5 seconds behind. Yeah,
it will be a tall order for Ollie Horner to catch back up to those guys. He was in 2nd at one point, but unfortunately a little bit unsettled when these guys came past him. Lost the toe, and he's sort of in a bit of a race on his own now. Could come under some pressure from Samuel Munson now, but so he's definitely going to have to watch what's coming behind him.
Yep, Samuel Munson, who will be buoyed by a victory just a few minutes ago. So it's going to be a fantastic, hopefully making up some positions and possibly closing in on that 4th place Ollie Horner, and rounding out the day in a pretty successful fashion.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant battle brewing here then between Sparks and Foster. You'd just like to see what these two can do if they swap around. Would they be able to catch Ronnie Harris? I'm not sure if that would be the case, because Ronnie's setting a very impressive pace at the front of this one. But we do know how fast both these Ethan Sparks and Mason Foster can be as well.
And of course, if you're watching at home, you're watching the live stream, make sure you drop into the comments, let us know who you're supporting, who you're wanting to pick up the victory here in the Mini GP50 race. We've got a couple of laps left to go in this one, and it's mighty close between Ethan Sparks and Mason Foster for 2nd and 3rd. It's looking as though Ronnie Harris might pick up the win on this one. He's holding that gap at around 1.5 seconds. So it's all about consistency for him, just putting in those lap times and making sure that he keeps it clean as they possibly start to come up some traffic.
Yeah, like we've seen in many races today, back markers may very well play a part in this race. They're coming up to quite a few, coming into the last corner now. Ethan Sparks on the inside, Mason Foster trying to go around the outside. Be interesting to see how that worked out for them. And Ethan Sparks now tries to get up the inside into there, trying to get down the gearbox there, almost clattering the back of number 90 there. Very difficult stuff for these guys to try and get through. Of course, these riders being lapped are in a race of their own, and will be holding their racing lines as well. So a very difficult situation for these riders to try and get through. Nicely done, but was a little bit hairy at one point.
Yeah, just a bit. Unfortunately for these guys, no blue flag, so it's harder for these riders a bit further back to notice when the leaders are coming up to them. And unfortunately for Isaiah Devine, it was him that got caught. So it looks as though it's not hampered the race too much. You can see a lot of moves being done, but Mason Foster looking very racy indeed as he starts to close in on Ethan Sparks. And Mason, he's been pushing hard over the last few laps to get a move done, but Ethan Sparks putting the bike in all the right places.
Absolutely. I mean, he's covering all his lines pretty well. He's not going overly defensive to compromise his pace, but he's just making himself wide enough so that Mason Foster can't get through. But as I say that, Mason Foster finds his way through into the back section, coming onto the final section before the back straight, and there's a brilliant pace as well through that right-hander. Mason Foster's had some real good pace through there and has just edged out a slight bit of a gap now as they head on to the back straight. Ronnie Foster is starting the last lap then. Ronnie Harris it is then that leads from Mason Foster and Ethan Sparks. Can Sparks do anything about Mason Foster on this final lap?
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be looking at getting that position back because Mason Foster just able to straighten up the bike a little bit quicker than Ethan Sparks on the exit of the hairpin, and allowed him to get the power down earlier and up into second. You can see he's already bridged a little bit of a gap, so it looks as though we might have second place for Mason Foster, and but up ahead it is Ronnie Harris that has controlled this race from the front. It's been a brilliant drive from him, and he's just going to come around the final two corners of the lap and come across the line with an absolutely dominant victory. Congratulations goes out to Ronnie Harris. Mason Foster is in second place, and Ethan Sparks has to settle for third after being embroiled in that race-long battle with Foster. And once again, these riders in the GP50s putting on a show for everyone on watching the stream and equally here in the paddock.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant show from all these guys, and some brilliant battles throughout as well. You had just finishing in fourth spot there, Samuel Munson. That's a good ride from him. We've seen him quick in other classes, and he's just coming into his own in this class now as well. Ollie Horner unfortunately dropped back a little bit. We saw him in second earlier on in the race. He dropped back unfortunately to fifth place, but some more brilliant battles all through the field in this one.
Yeah, absolutely so. And that ends the day for
that is the number 100 there. That's Cameron Sewell, who's gone down with another rider. Very unfortunate for him. He's registered as 8th place, but he seems to have has he crashed on the outlap?
Yeah, it might be after the checkered flag there. So all riders up and okay, and we'll see if everyone else is coming around into the pit to end their day. And there you are, race result, and it is Ronnie Harris that takes that one across the line. Very comfortable victory ahead of Mason Foster and Ethan Sparks. Sam Munson in fourth, with Ollie Horner dropping back to fifth. Then you've got Harrison McKay is in sixth, Clayton Edmonds in seventh, and then we had Cameron Sewell, as it was, came at home in 8th with Jacob Stevenson, and in 10th position was Blake Wilson. So that rounds out your top 10 for the Mini GP50s and their final race of the day for round 1 here in Lydd in Kent.